Yeah, the Guardians were no hit last night. Welcome to the show, Seth Williams Show with Chris Aiken, and that was fun watching that game.
It was. Did you like how my psychic ability came true on the
Yeah,
Guardians?
Josh Bell traded after you said he was going to be traded.
And not only did I say it, but then somebody said, "Oh, he's untradeable." Remember, somebody posted
Yes.
in there, "He's untradeable," and I was like, "Yeah, we'll see."
Good afternoon. I'm so excited for today. Robin Sabota. Yeah, she's supposed to be on at 4:45, so hopefully we'll
Awesome.
talk to her then. Supposed to talk to somebody here in a couple of minutes about
Okay.
issue one. We'll see if
Nice.
you can get connected or not.
Yeah, I know even my mom was excited about Robin Swoboda coming on. So
Yeah. I've been in like constant battle now. I've never been that guy to do battles on Facebook
right,
or Twitter or whatever X now, I guess it's called, whatever it is.
right.
But I find it utterly disgusting, some of these people that, I'm voting for issue one. Well, why? Or no, voting against issue one. Voting no. Sorry. Voting no for issue one. I said, well, why? I don't know. Because they put a commercial out and they told me not to.
Yeah, yeah. Because I saw a sign in someone's yard.
Because I want abortions. Okay, well, that's not the only thing that issue one is about. That's not what it's. There is a thing in November that you can vote for if you are so gung ho on abortions, you want to kill children. That's fine. Do it in November. But in August, you have issue one to deal with,
Yeah.
which is not just based on abortion. Yes, it has somewhat to do with it, but because most Republicans don't want babies killed. Like the radical left does on the day of birth.
Yeah,
9 months into things, the baby is coming out, and then we slaughter it. That's not exactly the way that most normal people, even the left, wants things to happen.
Right. Yeah. No.
You, who happens to be maybe a more of a pro-choice individual,
I
don't think that you agree, though, with slaughtering kids as they are coming out
No, not at
the
all.
day of their birth.
Not at all. Early term, okay. I'm game. I mean, I again, not the most religious fella over here. I'm just not. Even though I have a degree in theology, I'm not really the most religious guy. I'm okay with abortion, but my big problem with abortion is abortion without consequence. As I told you on the show, we're not allowed to have here today. I'll try and clean this up. There should be a consequence if you slip up, you slip up and knock up there once I can kind of forgive personally. I can be okay with, okay, you get an abortion, you don't wreck the rest of your life over it. Twice, no. Twice, definitely not. It just doesn't work for me. But, again, mine is just but one opinion, and there's many more.
All right. We do have our guest on the line. So
Excellent.
I'm excited to welcome Amy to the program. Amy, forgive me. I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
That's all right. Most people don't. It's Natoce.
Natoce. Okay. I thought that's what it was, but I didn't know. Natoce. I didn't want to mispronounce. So thank you. I appreciate you joining myself, Seth, and this is Chris that you're hanging out with today. I know you were on with Bob France and talking about this issue. We've been having a lot of people that are very confused about issue one. And a lot of people are asking us, and I have a little bit of an idea, but I wanted to clarify for our audience and what issue one is all about and why yes is probably the way to go.
Absolutely.
And tell everybody who you are first and what you do.
Thank you. So I'm Amy Natoce. I am the press secretary for Protect Women Ohio. We are a coalition of pro-life, pro-parent, and pro-women advocates who are working to defeat the ACLU's anti-parent abortion amendment this November, and also advocating for the passage of issue one this coming Tuesday.
Now, issue one is not only about abortion, but granted, it has a lot to do with it. But what does issue one do?
Yeah, so issue one, if passed, would raise the threshold for passing constitutional amendments in Ohio. So currently, to pass a constitutional amendment in the state, we only need to reach 50% plus one. Issue 1 would increase that threshold to 60%. And what this would do is protect Ohio's constitution from out-of-state special interest groups that all too often think they can come into the state with unlimited funds and buy their way into the Constitution. They really circumvent our legislature, our elected representatives who are responsive to their constituents and to the changing tides of public opinion, and instead buy their way into the Constitution. So issue 1, a yes vote on issue 1, is a vote to protect the Constitution from out-of-state special interest groups.
Now, there's been a lot of other groups that use that same threshold, right? I mean, it's not just that Ohio that wants to just do this to try to block things. There's a lot of other groups that use that same threshold of 60%. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. So a few things to note there. Ohio is one of only 18 states that allows for petition-initiated constitutional amendments. And of those 18 states, half of them, both Republican and Democrat, require more than 50% of the vote to pass constitutional amendments. So Ohio is very much in the minority when looking at the rest of the nation. We have very weak requirements for passing constitutional amendments, which leaves us very vulnerable. And another thing to mention, when you mentioned other groups who support 60%, there has been a ton of hypocrisy coming from the groups that oppose issue 1. Groups like the Ohio Democratic Party, the ACLU of Ohio, Planned Parenthood of Ohio. Those groups all require 60% or higher to amend their own constitutions. So it's just been incredible that they think their constitutions for their organizations deserve more protections than our state constitution does.
Am I wrong in thinking that this is exactly how we got Obamacare thrust upon us? Was that they changed from 50 to 60, and then they changed down? They changed down so that they could push it through?
I'm not 100% certain on that fact, but Ohio is really incredibly far behind when it comes to putting these common sense protections in place. I mean, for comparison's sake, let's look at the requirements that are needed to amend the United States Constitution. In order to pass an amendment at the federal level, we need supermajorities in both the U.S. House and Senate, plus 3/4 of the states. That's why the U.S. Constitution has only been amended 27 times, while meanwhile, Ohio's Constitution has been amended 172 times. The difference in the sizes of the Constitution is just amazing, and it goes to show how often groups are trying to put policy in the Constitution where it doesn't belong. The Constitution is our framework, our founding document. That's not where policy decisions should be made.
Well, that's just it. This isn't necessarily about changing laws. This is just about preserving the Ohio Constitution. We still have elections that you can vote in November. I'm not for it, but there's going to be an abortion thing on the ballot come November. But this is not about just that. This is about preserving our Constitution. But this is the kind of thing that I'm dealing with. The left sends in texts like this, saying all talking points are in for a bunch of Stepford idiot liars to spew to the public. And that's the kind of anger that there is when you're trying to do something that a lot of other people are doing, including the left. And I don't understand that. It's very confusing, I think, to a lot of people. And Olivia, I like her, but I think she's wrong on this. This is not something that is here to change laws. It's to preserve something that we already have.
That's right. And, something to mention is the fact that by increasing the threshold, we will be protecting Ohio's Constitution from special interests on both the left and the right. Not one party, not one ideology should be controlling how constitutional amendments are passed. By increasing the threshold to 60%, this ensures that there's a broad base of support from across Ohio, from across the ideological spectrum to amend the Constitution. It guarantees that we have to work across the aisle to amend the Constitution. Laws will still be passed as they have been. The legislature should be considering policy. They're elected by us. They should be responsive to our opinions and changing tides of public policy, but not our governing framework.
Right. And it just seems too like the other piece to this is that we can't trust our politicians to vote anyway but two party lines, which really makes which makes the need to have a 60% instead of a 50%, where you have to, like you just said, where you have to have more of a feeling across the state in order to push something through. Right now, I mean, just the way it's all constituted in Ohio, but in any state, it's almost 50-50 on every vote anyway. And it always goes, the Democrats all vote X and the Republicans all vote Y. I don't understand why anybody would want it to be that if only one or two people vote against their party, that they either win or lose a vote. That just seems ridiculous.
Right. This would ensure our Constitution is better protected. And this isn't just an issue that affects the pro-life community or the pro-choice community. I know we've been discussing this this extreme November ballot initiative that goes after parents and the unborn. But there is a wide base of support for issue 1. This affects gun rights advocates. The Ohio Farm Bureau supports issue 1. Second Amendment groups, the business community, the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, the Ohio chapter of NFIB. There is a wide base of support for this because we know that constitutional amendments affect every sector of the population. So this ensures that we're really securing everybody's rights and protecting the Constitution for every Ohioan.
And I said that I'm not one to get into battles on Facebook and social media and stuff like that, but I have over this issue a couple of different times in the past few weeks. And one of the things I said was that this is to protect our rights. But, the other side doesn't seem to agree with that. All I get is, well, what rights do you want protected? Well, I mean, there are things like gun rights and other things that are definitely protected by our Constitution that the other side wants to change. And those things would go away if this doesn't pass, right?
Absolutely. And, a prime example is that Justin Bibb, the mayor of Cleveland, said just last week that his next priority would be to pass a constitutional amendment going after gun rights. So this isn't some hypothetical we're talking about with outside groups coming in and wanting to take away rights and change the Constitution. They're actively working towards that end and being very vocal about it. So this is an immediate concern that we have, and that's why it's so important that we vote in this August special election.
Amy, what do you say to people? And I've seen this. I see it in our chat, but I also have seen it online when I was trying to read up on this. What do you say to people that say that this August election or this August ballot itself is not legal or ethical or whatnot, and it's really only coming to pass because there, as like an answer to the Republicans who missed the deadline for the May ballot?
Yeah, so this reform is long overdue. This is not the first time Ohio has discussed increasing the threshold for passing constitutional amendments. It has been discussed a number of times over the years, including by Democratic lawmakers. This is just the first time it's actually gotten the legs and made it onto the ballot. And in my opinion, it's a long overdue reform. We have seen time and time again these outside groups come in with millions of dollars trying to buy constitutional amendments. We know that the casinos did it years ago. This is something that's occurred time and time again. And so it's a long overdue change. And quite frankly, Ohio has some of the strongest early voting laws in the country. So any argument that, we're trying to slip something through in August could not be further from the truth. Ohio has 28 days of early voting. You can vote early in person, you can vote absentee by mail, and of course vote on August 8th, election day. So if you want to vote, you have the opportunity to vote whichever way is best suited to you and your needs.
Now, again, we're getting a lot of reaction to a lot of things you're saying. One says your point blank line, the legislation is sponsored by the
Uleans or whatever, the Uleans.
Uline, I don't know what that is. From Illinois.
Ulines.
The owners of Uline Office Supplies. I don't know what this stuff is. And this is why I'm having you on, because I want some clarity, because a lot of people are so angry on both sides. And quite frankly, I see a billion vote no signs everywhere that I go. And I see one vote yes sign here or there. How are the polls leaning in this?
Yeah, so number one thing any operative will tell you is yard signs don't vote. Sorry to those who love their yard signs, but I have news for you. It depends where in the state you are. I can tell you we are constantly running out of vote yes yard signs because all you have to do is leave Cleveland, Columbus, where I am, Cincinnati, and it is wide open farmland with vote yes on issue 1 yard signs. To that viewer's point, we just had finance reports come out the other day. The groups that are opposing issue 1, 10 of their top 12 donors were from out of state. Issue 1 opponents are the Ohio Communist Party opposes issue 1, if that tells you anything about where this stands. Their top donors were from New York, DC, and they're the ones trying to buy a constitutional amendment, not us. We're trying to protect the Constitution here, so we get absolutely nothing out of this. I'm not advocating for putting something in the Constitution. I get nothing out of this fight.
Right. What do you say to people that are saying that this really, issue 1 is really not about abortion at all, but it's really about the guns, but they're using the abortion message as the hot button as more of a hot button. Guns, people are 100% torn one way or the other. Abortion will always cause more of an argument. You know what I'm saying. Do you think that there is any validity to that, or does that not concern you because that's not the group that you are a part of?
At its core, this is about protecting the Constitution and all interests and all sectors of Ohio's population, whether they're gun rights advocates, life advocates, parental right advocates. This protects the governing document of our state from all of these outside special interest groups. And a prime example is, like we discussed, the mayor of Cleveland talking about after going after gun rights. We also have the ACLU coming into the state and trying to buy a constitutional amendment this November. So these are not hypotheticals. We're seeing these groups already making moves, coming in. They're attacking all sorts of rights across the ideological spectrum. And so not one party has a monopoly on this, not one ideology has a monopoly on this. So issue 1 protects the Constitution from any outside groups.
Somebody even texted, and John Legend is doing a commercial on Facebook endorsing issue 1. Where does he live? He's certainly not here in Ohio. I would assume he's not a guy that set up his mansion downtown here.
Yeah, that was fantastic when he came here a few weeks ago saying to vote no on issue 1 when he doesn't even live here. So they've got the out-of-state money coming in and the out-of-state celebrities coming in. So that goes to show you where those opposing issue 1 stand.
Justin Bibb should worry more about protecting the city and the illegal guns that are on the streets as opposed to trying to take the guns away from law-abiding citizens. It seems ridiculous that this is going on, but there's such anger. I don't understand it. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
I just want to add, is there any way possible, and I believe me, I have no idea how, but is there any way or anything being discussed to stop this issue that you've brought up several times, which is out-of-state money coming into any election, into any state election or local elections?
Certainly the legislature could pass restraints on that. There would be legal challenges going all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, as we've seen they decided on Citizens United. But this is really about protecting the Constitution from out-of-state groups because they do come in with these unlimited funds. The casino issue I mentioned earlier, over $50 million from out-of-state poured in when that fight was going on. So it's one thing to spend money supporting a candidate. It's another thing to spend money to alter our founding document.
Now, I'm kind of off topic, but you are with a women's organization. What's going on with our children these days? What's going on the indoctrination of these kids, the wanting to change their sexual identity, everything seems to be attacking, and parents seem to be losing rights more and more.
Absolutely. So Protect Women Ohio was formed to oppose the ACLU's Extreme November Ballot Initiative. They are billing it as an abortion rights amendment that would protect women's health, and that could not be further from the truth. The ACLU's amendment would do three main things. It would completely eviscerate parental rights. It would get rid of parental consent and notification requirements so that minors can get abortions and even sex changes without their parents knowing about it. Second, it removes all protections for the unborn, allowing for painful late-term abortion all the way through 9 months. And it puts women's health and safety at risk. Ohio has common sense protections in place for women who do have abortions. Things like abortion clinics need to have hospital admitting privileges and be within a certain distance of an emergency room in case a woman would need emergency medical care. Under this amendment, those types of common sense protections could be considered burdens and be wiped out. And so this amendment, the dangers of it cannot be overstated. It's going after women, the unborn, and parents.
It's crazy to me. It really is. I'm in full support of issue 1, and I'm baffled by the just divisiveness of this, because it doesn't seem to be that big of an issue, because again, you can still vote on your laws. We just want to protect the Constitution here. So
that's exactly right. I will never understand the one person, one vote mantra coming from those opposing issue 1, because we each still have a vote. Yeah. And further yet, we get to vote on August 8th how our Constitution's amended. There's nothing more democratic than letting us decide how our Constitution will be amended going forward.
Well, I appreciate the clarity, because
Yes.
I have been struggling myself, but I appreciate you coming on today and kind of straightening things out. We're going to make sure to post this everywhere and get the word out, because come Tuesday, we need to start voting.
That's right.
Absolutely. I'd encourage everyone to check out protectwomenohio.com. We have an entire page dedicated to explaining issue 1, in addition to the November ballot initiative. So there's tons of information there for your followers to read up on ahead of August 8th.
We need to protect our women. We need to protect our children. We need to protect our rights here in Ohio. So
that's right.
I agree. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right,
you have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye. I want to thank Amy for coming on. That provided clarity to me.
Yeah. I mean, I after hearing that, and it's going to piss off half the chat room, but I'll probably vote yes.
Half the chat room. I mean, Olivia really is mad.
Yeah, she's mad.
And Olivia, I love you again.
She's on that point that she has up there. That is, that's not only her. I will say that part. There's a lot of people that are saying that this August election is bullshit, and that it shouldn't.
You know what I think? I think it's bullshit that the money that's coming in from out of state and the stuff that they are purposely trying to confuse people from what the actual issue is. Like, I'm reading every single one of Olivia's things that come up here, and I'm not putting them all up, but I don't even know why she's mad. I don't know what she opposes in this election, what she thinks that she's going to lose if issue 1 passes. Tell me what your problem is with it, Olivia. You haven't done anything other than say everybody's lying, y'all suck, and you called one guy a rapist. I mean, whatever it is, just tell me what you're upset about.
Here, I just put the link in there. Come on, Olivia.
You can come on the show. You can click on the link.
Open your smartphone and go to that link.
And then you can actually join the show and talk and tell us what you think, because I'm confused as to why you're so mad. What's wrong with protecting the Constitution of the state of Ohio? You could still vote on your abortion, whatever you want to vote for, come November. You can, if they put up a gun rights thing, you can vote for that in November. Whatever you want to vote, you could still vote for it.
Yeah, I mean, I that's what I see. That's what I see too. Is that, as long as it's not saying that you can't vote on anything, it drives me crazy that as I asked in the question, that they just keep allowing this money to come in, these out of state, like the John Legend thing. That's such a good example. How can something so blatantly obvious not be shut down immediately?
And even if he's from Ohio, I don't think he should be down the street from me. If he's not living here and not paying taxes the way that we are, then he has no say in what's going on here in the state of Ohio.
Right.
So I don't care whether he grew up in Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland.
It doesn't matter.
Or Barberton. He doesn't have any right to say what goes on in the state of Ohio when he's not here.
Yeah.
Go live in California and deal with whatever the hell they got going on there.
Yeah. I lived in California for a few years. Should I be able to still throw some ideas out there?
And why aren't you addressing the Republican dark money? Look, I don't care who it is. No out-of-state money should be coming in to fund any of this stuff.
That's what I said.
But I still agree with the actual issue. I still agree with the issue at hand when all these other organizations, like she mentioned on the left, are using the same threshold of 60% to do their things, then the state of Ohio should be protected also.
Yeah,
and you're going to talk about past governors. So one of our posts said past governors. Past governors like who? You have a governor now that's basically a Democrat. You have Kasich, who is a Democrat. I mean...
Well, and again, I brought up the issue of Obamacare. Obamacare was failing. Dude, I don't know if you remember that whole thing, but Obamacare was failing, and then dumbass changed the voting procedure to 50% plus one,
right, from
60%, and then we got jammed up with Obamacare. That's what happens when you have it as a 50-50.
Oh, it's your show. I know, but it's definitely our show, but we're inviting you to at least, if you can't call in, just tell me what you don't like. I mean, tell me what is the offensive part about issue 1.
God help it so much. One up. Put that one up. God help that people get health care. Well, why does everybody have to pay for it then? Why shouldn't it be free like in other countries? If you're really going to go to that, if you're going to go to that level, God forbid everybody have health care. What did Obamacare do, and why did it fail? Because no one could afford it.
Exactly. It was way more. I know people that got Obamacare, and it was more expensive than getting it through their job. It was massively expensive.
Yeah.
And everybody else is paying for it.
Yeah.
I mean...
That's it.
Yes, if the government wants to provide free health care, you know what? I hate to admit this. I'm one of those guys that sits there and says, hey, look, man, we should probably save people that are dying. And you shouldn't be able to have to go to the hospital and pay $1,000 for an aspirin.
Yeah.
Because that sucks. And the insurance companies and all these companies pharmaceutical companies are making billions of dollars. And so you know what? The government maybe should just provide it so you can go into a hospital if you're sick or you're dying or something's wrong with you and get taken care of without racking up millions of dollars of bills.
Right.
I get it. But at the same time, Obamacare was a joke and ridiculous.
It was a joke. And look, if we're going to go down that road, why the hell does an employer have to pay for it? What the hell do I have to do with anybody that I employ's health? I sure can't tell them what to do or not to do. So why the hell should I have to pay for that as part of their incentivization to come to work?
Olivia, I'm a big fan of yours. So we disagree on this, and that's too bad. But it's one thing we disagree on, and Robin will be coming up in just a little bit. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah. We'll have to switch into nice mode now.
I know, no more F words and stuff like that.
Have we said too many? Did I say?
And if you didn't sign up for Obamacare, you were taxed. That's another thing. Exactly.
But the only reason Obamacare was brought into this is because it's an exact example of what happens if this kind of 50 plus 1 thing goes through.
Health insurance should not be tied to employment. Look, I'm not totally disagreeing with you.
You think it should be?
What?
Health insurance should be tied to your employer.
No, I said I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay. I was going to say, Jesus, you're going to fight.
I know that there's probably a lot of conservatives that probably hate what I'm saying when it comes to healthcare. Yeah. But I'm one of those people that it's unfortunate. I mean, there are people out there that I honestly believe, whether they don't have a job, whatever it is, they're sick and they can't go to a doctor. I don't want people dying on the street.
No, I agree.
Because they can't afford to go to a doctor.
I agree full. And I mean, dude, I've had years where I didn't have health insurance and I went and just paid everything. I went to the doctor, I paid for things. But I'd be damn sure lying if I didn't say there were times I probably should have gone to the doctor and I didn't.
Because of
the cost.
Right.
Yeah, because I was like, there's no way am I going to. Yeah, I mean, there was just no way was I going to go in and get and. If I had a really bad pain in my back or something that was really hurting bad, there was no way was I going to go and deal with $3,000 worth of medical bills coming at me for them to give me 2 aspirin and tell me to stand up straight.
Right, and again, this isn't what issue 1 is about. You can still vote on these things. You can still vote on gun rights, abortion, all that kind of stuff. If that's what's on the ballot come November, you can do that. This is about just protecting the Ohio Constitution and amendments to the Constitution. And I don't see a real problem with that. Again, I'm still confused as to what she's upset about. But it is what it is.
People are. It's a hot button.
It is.
And I can guarantee. I don't know why she's upset either, but I would imagine that you throw the word abortion in, and it upsets a lot of people.
It does.
You throw in the word guns, and it upsets even more people. So you throw them both into one thing, and you're going to get a side that's never going to see anything but bad toward it.
I mean, the kind of money that's going into the vote no on issue 1 is so insane. I mean, we're talking about on stations that I even work for now. Right. That is a religious station, is a conservative station through and through.
Sure.
And you hear commercials for vote no on issue 1. They can spend their money wherever they want to spend their money. And I listen to those commercials and I go, what does that mean? Issue 1 sounds really bad to me if I listen to this commercial. But that's not the truth. No. It's not. What I heard on those commercials, if you actually do the research, which I've done even before I talked to her, the stuff that I've read, it's not about control. You know what is control, Olivia? Control is forcing you to take shots when you don't want to take a shot. Control is shutting down the country when people are having a cold and sick. And I know people died. I'm not downplaying that at all. But that's control. Control is what's going on in the country right now when parents don't have the rights to tell their kids that they can't change their sex or they can identify as whatever they want to identify as. That's control.
Don't we have more control of how we live if it's a harder threshold to change the way we live? Isn't that giving us, the people, more control?
Yes.
50 and 1, it gives us less control. It means less people have to be against what we believe in to change the way we live.
Right.
By more people, that's actually more control. We have more control of how we live by making it a harder standard to change the Constitution.
You caring about what other parents do is control. That's not. Parents should have control of their children, is my point.
Well, look, the point is if your daughter went off the deep end, you wouldn't have control. And that's what you're worried about. That's what you're worried about. You're not worried about your neighbor 3 houses down.
No.
I'm worried
about the control that I have over my kid when it comes to the laws
if your daughter comes in with $300 today and she says, you know what? I robbed the 7-Eleven. And you were to yell at her, you're worried about getting in trouble for yelling at her, for disciplining her. That's not you worrying about anybody else.
Oh, man.
I love this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to. I just wanted to get the, educated word out there about what issue 1 is all about. I didn't know. Other than the stuff that I've looked at, and I think that, she clarified some stuff for me.
Sure.
But
why don't you call Chiselka, get him on to give the other side?
I know. I don't think I'm going to do that.
That would work. You can get both sides, and then people can make an educated guess or an educated opinion, I guess.
Olivia, don't be shy. Come to the show more often. Absolutely.
Amen.
Hey, at least I'm engaging. You absolutely are. So is your picture.
Yes. I was going to say the picture. Keep on commenting. That's going to keep putting them up. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I do not want my 7-year-old to be controlled by a teacher with getting a sex change and not tell me. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Teachers should have less control than the parents. I don't think that's an absolute wrong thing to say.
It's too funny.
Oh, God.
Well, I'm loving this. This is great.
Listen, most of the time, I just don't comment. Comment often.
I'm enjoying
that. Never happens, ever. Yes, it does happen. It does happen that these teachers are having more control than they did before. That's why at PTA meetings, when parents try to stand up for themselves, they're being called domestic terrorists by our government because the teachers union is so strong, especially with this administration, that they do have more power.
Is this all I got to do is say things that I know you disagree with to get you angry?
Control
I'll start doing it.
Here's Jim calling me a Nazi again. I'm getting it all out now. So when
That's
Robin
right.
comes on, we can have. I'm going to change my background to flowers and puppies.
It's too funny.
Yes, don't discipline your kids, but when you chastise for disciplining your kids, Oprah, you get a sex change. Or you get a sex change.
Reach under your chairs, everybody. Guess what
Everybody
you got?
gets a penis. I mean, that's the big problem that I have anymore. Issue one for me is about a lot of stuff. Issue one is about abortion to be, but again, there's a thing on the initiative on the ballot come November for abortion. So if you're against me on that, you can vote for whatever you want.
Yeah.
This is about amending the Constitution.
Yeah. I think the problem with it that a lot of people have with issue one and is that it's not. It's like most amendments, really. It's not completely right no matter what you vote. No matter what you vote, it doesn't feel right. You know, I can only speak for me, but I'm, as I said before, I'm not necessarily against abortion. I am against calling it abortion. I think you should absolutely have to acknowledge it as killing babies. But, I am not necessarily always against it. And I know that's opposite of most of the audience, but because because abortion is tied to this thing, it's going to make people, it becomes a hot button that you can't say your facts right now, Seth, are absolutely true about the control and 60% and whatever. But the fact that somebody says, well, what about abortion? Right. Then it's all of a sudden a problem.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'll be honest with you. When it comes to abortion, I was on the Right to Life team at Ignatius. I was, marched the streets and
Sure.
Against abortion. But I do have my exceptions as well. I don't believe in a woman gets raped and that kind of thing, or
Sure.
incest, or the health of the baby or the mother or whatever it is. There may be things that I would agree with exceptions for. But when it comes to using it as birth control, that's where I have a big problem.
Yeah.
When two people decide to do those kind of things, you accept the facts. You accept the consequences. Like, I can't say all of a sudden the next day, I didn't want this AIDS, let me get rid of it.
Right.
I mean, I did what I did, and that's the choice that I made.
Well, the real issue is there are no consequences for abortions. That's the problem. I was going to ask her, but then I just felt like it was going to really derail things. I was going to ask her if we could have a compromise in the middle somewhere and just say, okay, you get one gotcha, but if you do it a second time, you get sterilized. Go that
absolutely.
route. Why not? Have a consequence for acting like an idiot.
Of course. You think the pregnant 10-year-old should have been forced to give birth? That would have killed her. I said there should be exceptions, Olivia.
Yeah, well, and that's...
Did you say that?
You did, but there's,
What's the consequence for the man? I don't know.
The consequence for a guy would be, in my scenario, sterilization.
Absolutely.
Sterilization. You get somebody that has 2 abortions on their dick, they get sterilized for it.
And there is consequences for men when it comes to having a child.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just one person in this baby making experience.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson got rid of it. I guess
Good
he was the
point.
one that he woke up and said, you know what? I don't think I'll get rid of the AIDS.
That's right.
And he did.
Wow. This has been a fast 45 minutes.
I've always been Joe Burdick checks in. I've always been pro-life with exceptions. Lost me where they wanted to murder babies up to birth. Of course. Why would you do that?
I'm not for that. That's just... Because, God, if we could have that, there's some people in their 30s I wouldn't mind being aborted.
I was going to say, I know a couple of people at a former radio station that I worked at.
I see a lot of TikTok or TikTok videos of people that wouldn't be done a disservice by some late-term abortions. Like 22 years old.
I'm texting Robin to see where she is.
Okay.
And she should be joining us shortly.
She'll be here soon. I hope. I have a bunch of questions for Robin.
Support Ray.
I think Clear Channel did, didn't they?
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah, they in their own way.
Yeah.
She needs me to email her the link again. So talk about something wrong.
Well, let's talk about Robin Swoboda.
Let's talk about Robin Swoboda. I'm listening.
Because it's such a weird thing because I'm not a guy that has ever really watched a lot of local TV, but I certainly recognize Robin. And honestly, this is probably going to surprise you and a lot of people. I know Robin most from The Fish, from 95.5, the Christian station, which I bet nobody would even realize that I ever would have listened to.
Right.
But The Fish was a dominant station here in my house because my ex was into that music, and it was on constantly. So I used to hear Robin all the time on The Fish. And, from there, then I was like, oh, yeah. You'd see a picture of her on a bus or something. And I'd be like, oh, I remember her with, like, Tim Taylor, right? She was like a co-host with Tim Taylor at one point. And it's like, then I started looking her up, and I was like, man, she did a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize how much stuff she had actually done here in both here in Cleveland and abroad and outside of Cleveland.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I want to ask her. I hope she gets connected.
Yeah.
Man,
Is it not looking good?
No, she texted me. I sent her the link again, so
okay.
We'll see.
I was gonna say I hope it happens.
Democrats celebrated that the former governor of Virginia even bragged about it. The rules have selective memory.
Yeah. Yeah, so do Republicans too. To be honest, we all only celebrate what we feel is our win.
She was one of the most beautiful women in Cleveland. Absolutely.
Yeah, very and I mean just looking at her list of accomplishments, she has like a zillion accomplishments. As far as national TV and local TV, and she has Emmys, and she's she has all kinds of. I got all kinds of questions for her too. Is that you?
What?
Tapping?
No.
What is that tapping?
I have no idea. If you don't see my hands under the desk. Hey, here we go. All right, I'm going to take a quick break so we can talk to her for a little while. All right?
All right, sounds good.
Hang on.
All right.
It is time to save America and stop funding woke corporations. Shop with merchants that share your values today. Get all the great products you buy online anyway from Mammoth Nation. Visit the online store today at us.cmspn.com and save money while helping to fend off enemies of our way of life. We can't expect change until we make changes ourselves. Shop Mammoth Nation today.
Are you looking for a way to support the Seth Williams Show? Get your Seth Williams Show merchandise today. From coffee mugs to clothing and everything in between, our high-quality merch is the perfect way for you to not only support the show, but show everyone what is the greatest show going today. Just go to shop.thesethwilliamsshow.com now, shop around, and buy some great merchandise from the Seth Williams Show. Shop today.
What separates Triv's restaurant in Strongsville from everybody else? Some restaurants you go to eat the same thing over and over and over. But then there are restaurants like Triv's, where you want to go there every single time and eat something different until you have eaten every single item on the menu. Why? Because the food's delicious, and it has been for almost a quarter of a century. Triv's has amazing food, outstanding service, and an opportunity for you to have private dining, special events, and intimate occasions. You can enjoy a memorable fine dining experience in your own dedicated, intimate space. Visit Triv's in the heart of Strongsville. Call now for reservations, 440-238-8830. Triv's in Strongsville. Joe Burdick custom flags are amazing. Each flag is handcrafted to reflect the imperfect perfection, making each piece of patriotic wall art unique. This is a local small business, veteran-owned and proud. Joe Burdick creates symbolic artwork that is built to last. Display your spirit, pride, and patriotism by calling 440-305-2065 and let Joe's Flags serve you. 440-305-2065. Joe Burdick Flags. Let me introduce you to Charlie's Auto Repair. Any car, any truck, any problem, Charlie's does it right. You know how it is. The check your engine light comes on, you put air in the tires, and the light is still on. 216-470-0170. That's Charlie's Auto Repair, 13728 Madison in Lakewood. Charlie can do it all, from small engine repair to fleet maintenance and system diagnostics. 216-470-0170. Charlie's Auto Repair. Let Charlie make your car great once again.